and seeing how you're doing. So a little bit of terminology here at the start. The word opposite of a number. Opposite means, you might have think of it as like the negative of. I think maybe you would have heard it like that in a previous class perhaps, but I think the word opposite is best. If you see that symbol right there, the little negative sign in front of the A, probably the best way to read that would be to say the opposite of A. The opposite of A. It's referring to the sign. So the opposite simply changes the sign from whatever it is to the other sign. The opposite of A would just be the opposite sign of A, whatever A happens to be. So if you take a look at number one says the opposite of negative 91. So what would you guess the opposite of negative 91 would be? 91, right? So it's just the other sign. Since it was negative 91, the opposite of that would have to be positive 91. How about number 2? The opposite of negative B, what would you say that would be? It would be B. You got it. Can I leave number 3 up to you for the moment? Let's see if you guys can handle number 3. The opposite, just go ahead and write it down. You can feel free to talk about it amongst yourselves, but the opposite of the absolute value of negative 3. Sorry. Is that better? I don't like it when it's all bright.
Why is there a line through the middle of it?
That, hey, so number 3, it's one of two things essentially, right? The answer ends up being negative 3 or positive 3, right? Which one do you think it is? Shout it out. I heard a lot of these. Negative 3? And that is correct. That is correct. So the way that you would maybe work through that would be to say that what is the absolute value of negative 3? 3, but then isn't this opposite of still out there? So the opposite of 3 is negative 3. So you'd end up with negative 3. Where people would run into problems here, I think, is if you've done this in the past, maybe even a teacher in the past has said, hey, if you see like negatives like kind of butted up against each other, you can just go, I'm not really a fan of this notation, but they'll say you can just do this. You ever seen that before? So this would be incorrect because of the way the absolute values are in there. Or you might have seen a teacher or a classmate do this. You ever seen that before? The absolute value, though, changes things, doesn't it? The absolute value means you got to think about the absolute value first before you think about the opposite. If it were, say like number 1, you might have thought this, and that's okay because the absolute values are not in there. It's just parentheses. They're just grouping symbols. But the absolute values have a different meaning. So you'd want to be careful with that for sure. Okay. Do you have any questions about any of those? Opposite of a number. Okay, let's take a look at our next little section here. There we go. So number 4. And number 5, deal with subtraction. Let's try to fit these on here as best we can. There we go. Okay, so again, this is going to be one of those topics where there's going to be a wide range of skills and abilities. So I'm going to kind of show you the real basic way to do this. If you look at what I'm doing and you think, man, I've got a faster way and I've been really good at this for at least a year or two, that's fine. I'm not necessarily looking for a suggestion as to how you do it, not because it's wrong, but because I'm going to go real basic here and we can go super basic and then we can get better and better as we go. But if you have a better way that works for you, I'm fine with that. Just make sure that it's correct and we'll be all right. So subtracting real numbers, to subtract 2 real numbers, you add the first number to the opposite of the second number. So in other words, what we would do here is we would essentially turn a subtraction problem into an addition problem like what we practiced last time and what we just practiced at the board. So for example, with number 4, we could translate this into being 10 plus negative 5 plus negative 8 plus negative 9. And doesn't that end up looking just like what we practiced a few minutes ago? 10 plus some negative number plus another negative number plus a negative number. To be honest with you, 10 minus 5 and 10 plus negative 5 are the same thing, but we tend to be real comfortable with addition, so we can kind of translate it into this, and this will work fine for us. You certainly could use the number line. We always start off at 0. Whoops. And we would go we'd go right 10. So we'd go all the way over to here. and then we would go left 5. Oops, I went way too far. Go right 10, and then left 5, and then left 8, and then left 9. So we end up all the way over there at negative 12. There we go. Question?
So just
Lana.
wondering, so will the number line method, like on test, will we be required to use that method?
Not at all. Not at all. So I am definitely considering what we did in 1.4 as well as this. I consider it to be kind of a pre-algebra concept. So like I said, I'm totally willing to accept that some of you are probably really, really good at this. And if you can just go, the answer is negative 12 without showing any work at all, I'm okay with that. If you need to show a couple of steps, I'm okay with that. If you want to use a number line, I'm okay with that as well. For this sort of skill right here, my main interest is that you be able to do it correctly. You'll show plenty of steps when it comes to algebra, and I'll be kind of nitpicky about some of the algebra stuff we'll do later. But with the pre-algebra thing, and if you can just do it, I'm happy.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Was that your question too, Jake, or did you have a different one?
I was just wondering, like, I can just see the answer.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I
Yeah.
was just wondering if we had to show any work.
Did I answer your question good enough with hers? Okay, good deal. All right, so why don't you guys try number 5? Use the number line if you want. Use the little rules that we've learned, or perhaps just go, the answer is whatever. Just make sure you know how to do number 5, whatever method you choose. With this question, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all the steps that you could show, especially if there's any level of struggle with this for you. If there is, here's what you could do. You could translate this into an addition problem. Here's what it would look like. Negative 5 plus negative 7. Hope I've got enough room here. Plus positive 20. And then what do you think about that minus negative 3?
I think it's the opposite.
It's really plus a positive, isn't it? So you could put plus 3 and then plus negative 9. So minus, or the opposite of negative 3 would be plus 3. Okay, so if you use the number line, you'd start off at 0, and we would go left 5, and then left 7, and then right 20, so we'd go all the way back over here. You'd end up at 8, and then you would go right 3, and then left 9. So did you all end up with 2? 2. Okay, so again, I just want to emphasize to you all, that 9 got kind of cut off there, didn't it? I want to emphasize to you all something, hey, listen, really simple. Really simple thing here. We just need to be really, really good at this. And hopefully we'll continue to improve, right, as far as being faster and as accurate as possible. But this would be a foundational skill, something you hopefully looked at in pre-algebra, but it's something that for us to move forward into, like chapter 2, into the algebra stuff, this just has to be really, really good, right? So we'll practice this all this week. We'll practice it here a little bit today in a few minutes. But if you have any point of struggle, you definitely want to come get some help. Early is better than late, right? So please come get some help if you need any help at all with this. I'd be happy to work with you. And
The 134 plus 80.
so how did you come up with plus 80? Because when I was looking in here, that's negative 80.
Yeah, but
So how did it magically become a positive 80?
finding how many degrees in between them, so we add them both together.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's logical, I suppose. But I'm still kind of curious, like mathematically, why is it okay for it just to be like, hey, negative 80, you get to become 80 and we're going to add you? Does that make sense? The procedure here is going to lead us to the right answer for sure, but I'm still just kind of wondering if we can get an explanation. What do you think, Anna?
Well, because it's below 0,
Right?
and it's like almost adding another set of a number line, so
Because 134 is on what side of 0?
the right side,
And negative 80 is on the
left side.
left side. Okay, so that kind of helps with Connor's explanation. What do you think, Will?
You have to find the absolute value of negative 80 to do that because
You could, kind of like what they're saying. It's like it's on the left side of 0. Okay, fair enough. Can I show you, Garrett, did you want to add something to the?
I guess you're just trying to find a distance
Right.
two of them, so it just makes sense to add, because it's a negative and positive.
If you think about it, like here's 0, here's 134, negative 80 is over there somewhere. So I get what you're all saying about, hey, we would just add 80 to 134. Let me ask you a question though. What if there's a whole different question? Let's say, you know what, let's think about your quiz on Friday. Let's think of a whole different question for your quiz. Let's say that on your quiz on Friday, let's say that the highest grade was 100. And let's say that the lowest grade was 82. What is the range for the grade, the high grade and the low grade on the quiz? What is it?
18.
How did you get 18? So if you subtract with the grades, why wouldn't you subtract with the temperatures?
Well, because it was just, you can't really subtract below zero. Like,
It's too positive.
Why not? What do you think, Avery?
Well, so I wrote it 134 minus -80, and they pretty much, the negatives just cancel out.
What's minus a
So
negative?
it gets a positive,
Yeah.
and so then you get to the part where it's 134.
That's the process I was kind of going for there. To me, that's where that plus could come from. Although Connor, Anna, you guys logically explained why you did that. From a mathematical standpoint, going 134 minus a negative 80 really agrees with the grade thing. It's consistent at least, right? And so I hope that makes sense. You guys get that okay? Okay, fantastic. Okay, I think I am done. I think we are ready to practice. So let's go to the board. Let's see how you do.